Hi everyone, I'm Ashley and this is episode 9 of Ashlees Knitting. You can find me by that name on Instagram, Ravelry, and YouTube, where I would love to connect with you. Thank you for joining me today, and if you're a regular viewer, you'll notice that this is a day, maybe 2 days late by the time I get it edited. But that is for two main reasons. The first of which is I just got off my break and I started my full-time post-graduation job. And that's going well. The training is going slowly, but that's better than it going too fast, I suppose. But it's definitely taken away from my knitting time. That's just the way life is. And then the second reason it's late is because I recorded it yesterday and the audio was awful. And to be honest, my audio's never been too great, but yesterday was worse. So I looked into getting a microphone and I almost got one, but before I purchased it, I decided to look it up and see if anyone had the same problem. Because I didn't just have it with the podcast, I also had it like when I would go to concerts, it would be normal for like a minute and then sound like I was underwater or the performer was underwater. The audio on my phone was just awful, so I looked it up and there's a setting for iPhone at least that makes it better. And if you're having the same issue, go to your settings, camera, and then turn off stereo recording. Hopefully that helps. And then I also decided to use wireless headphones because maybe if the mic is closer to my face, it'll sound better. But hopefully you can tell the difference. Hopefully it's so much better. And even though it's late, I still have lots of good knitting to show you. The first project I have, you've probably heard of it by now, people love it, is my Muscleburg, and I did it as part of the Show Us Your Muscles Cal, hosted by The Crafted Pearl and We Share Needles. And that ran from September 1st to October 31st, Halloween. And I started it late September and just finished it, so it took me about 4 to 5 weeks. I wasn't in a rush or anything, it was just a good background project for me. And I used Mandy's Makings Firm Foundations, which was a mystery skein for me. I love it. I love the neutral colors. I think I can end up wearing this with a lot. And I believe that was a superwash merino, nylon, and cashmere blend, and it's really soft. The cashmere does a lot of work, and I ended up using about 91 grams. My leftovers are actually right here. And I was planning on using the whole skein, but I got to the required length and I just got kind of lazy, so I went ahead and started the decreases, but it still fits perfectly. If you haven't seen this pattern, it is knit in a tube with the increases straight knitting in the round and then the decreases, and I jokingly call this a hat hot dog. And I think that's partly because of the color, but also because it looks like a hot dog, which is kind of funny. But once you've knit your hat hot dog, you put one end into the other, and it takes a little finessing, but eventually you'll get it. And then you'll end up having a double thick hat, which if you knit it to the length I did, which I think I ended up knitting it like a ½ an inch longer than recommended, you can wear it slouchy, or if you cuff it, cuff, it can be a more fitted hat. And then it ends up being like 4 layers thick right here, so very, very warm. And I love this hat. I think it's such a great basic, and there's not a single purl in this hat, all knitting, which I love. I'm honestly gonna probably make more, whether they be for myself or for a family member. And one great thing about the pattern is there's like 5, 6, maybe even 7 different gauges you can use. So you can use different size needles, different weight yarn, and you can adjust it to your gauge, and you don't have to gauge swatch. But I'll save that information because it is a paid for pattern. But if you want to make one like mine, I used fingering weight and US size 3 needles. I ended up doing it on magic loop, but that's just because it's what I had. so that's what I did. But that is the Muscleburg by Isolde Teague, and I'm happy to enter that into the cal and officially be ready for winter. This hat is so thick. It's gonna be so warm this winter season. I love it. So that is my only finished object for this week, and that is because I kind of went sock crazy, but also because I went sock crazy, I did not pick up my wool and honey a single time, which is really disappointing, but the 2 socks I'm making have deadlines, so it just kind of got pushed to the side, which is fine. It's fine. I may not get it done by Thanksgiving anymore, but it's okay. But going into a whip that you have seen before, it's in my Polar Bear Yarns bag, the first mystery bag I got from her. And since this is my second time recording, I had already moved up my progress keeper, so you'll kind of have to take my word for it. It was about here. I got only 1 repeat done, so this didn't get touched much, but it is over halfway done now. I think I have 8 repeats, and I believe the size I'm knitting calls for 12. I don't know. No, 14. It calls for 14, and I don't know if I'll knit to the 14 repeats or just until I run out of yarn, or maybe somewhere in between. But it is getting pretty long. I'd say it's probably like 3.5, 4 feet now. So it's way over halfway, and I think even with the speckles, the cables show up really nicely. And the soft deadline for this project is like mid-December, but I do think I'll have it done before then. I'm going to give it to my friend to give it as a Christmas gift, so mid-December-ish, but I think that's fully doable. And the yarn I'm using is Karen's Simply Soft Speckle, and the colorway Wisteria, and he came with me to pick this out for her. And the pattern is, I just call it my cabled scarf, but it is the Dryad by Jared Flood, which it looks really complicated, but once you get the repeat down, you kind of know like what's coming up next, and it's not too bad. So once you memorize it, it's a pretty easy pattern. So that's coming along slowly but surely, as I expected it to. I didn't expect that one to move too fast, partially because I am a selfish knitter. So the next project I'll show you is one of the socks that are causing me to not work on anything else. And this is in my second Polar Bear Yarns mystery bag. This one was for the month of October. I think the other one was in the spring, maybe like June. But this one's for October, and you can see the cats and the tarot cards and the spiders, moons. I love this bag. And then the inside also has orange polka dots, which I love so much together. It's honestly the perfect sock size. They don't have to squeeze in, they fit in comfortably, and it's still pretty compact. So a big fan of this bag. I wish, I may just have to keep buying the mystery sets to keep getting the mystery bags. Sorry about that. I got cut off because of phone storage, so I'm gonna have to go through and delete some photos, back up some photos. But anyway, back to the knitting. I was just saying as I got cut off that I love this bag, and the project that's in it is using this yarn. This is the Halloween Town colorway from my friend Kelly of Ritz Fiber, who so graciously gave this to me. I can't thank her enough. But I absolutely love this yarn. It is perfectly seasonal, and it has every Halloween color you could want. Plus, it's named after my favorite Halloween movie, which is great. I love Halloween Town. I watch all 4 of them every year, no matter how cringy some parts are. It's still my favorite. But I finished 1 whole sock, and then I'm over halfway through the next one. So first I want to talk about how this knits up. I absolutely love it. Like I said, it has every Halloween color you could want, and it's so bright and somehow dark and fun and spooky all at the same time. I love it. But the pattern I used was new to me. I put on my Instagram story a poll of whether I should try the Shadow Wrap heel or the Fish Lips Kiss heel, because I've been wanting to try other heels to see if I just like doing one better, if one fits better, and then sometimes you just don't want to use a heel flap and gusset for like self-striping yarn. It just doesn't really look the best in my opinion. So the vote was ultimately for the Shadow Wrap heel, but a lot of people had strong feelings about both. A lot of people love them, but I went ahead and did the Shadow Wrap heel, and for that, let me look at my notes. I used the Socksploration pattern by Denise on Ravelry, which will be linked below in the description box. But the pattern is originally written for 56, 64, and I believe 72 stitches, and I slightly modified it to be 60 stitches. So I did 2x2 rib, which is my favorite, 15 rows of that, 50 rows on the leg, Shadow Wrap heel, and then 62 rows for the foot, which fits me, and a rounded toe. And honestly, I love the way this fits. This is probably one of my best fitting socks to date, at least in terms of vanilla socks. I find textured socks just usually fit better because of that squeeze that they have. But these fit really well. I really like the heel. I will try more, but this one is pretty high up there. I've marked every 20 rows. This one signifies between the heel and the foot, but every 20 rows I have the perfect spooky stitch marker on there. And that is, I did this whole sock and over half of the next within the last 2 weeks, so it's going by fast. And then this one I marked with the little ghost. I had this on my Muscleburg, but then when I finished it, I took it off and put it on here so that I could be wonderfully seasonal. It's not focusing, but oh no, it's just because he's flipped. Yep, he has eyes. But I would like to have these socks done by Halloween. Today is Thursday and Halloween is Sunday, so I do think it's possible. I think they'll be finished. They won't be blocked, but I'll still wear them anyway because you gotta wear the Halloween Town socks on Halloween. So that's my first sock whip that's been taking up all of my time. Not all of it, but a lot of it. The second one is this one. So this is in my my newest bag. Is it newest? I guess I kind of got those two at the same time. But this one is from, her name on Instagram is Paper Diva, and on Etsy I believe is K2 Together, but of course it'll all be linked in the description box. And it is the cactuses and the llamas and just the color scheme I love. I love this bag, and again it's pretty big for a sock bag, which is nice. It cut me off again. But it's okay. I went through and deleted like 1,000 pictures. I take a lot of pictures and it was kind of fun to see all of the old like vacations and everything, but hopefully I can just at least get through this one without any more interruptions. This is like the most difficult episode to make ever. But this sock is a test knit. It is the Texture Me socks, and her name on Instagram is Alondra Knits. She's recently been designing quite a few socks, and they're all very colorful, which I really like, using up scraps and everything. And speaking of scraps, I used all scraps for this project. So the main color is this black yarn that is left over from my mom's Charlie Brown socks. I bought a full skein because that's what my shop had, but I only ended up using like not even 10 grams, so I had a lot of this left, and that's why it's the main color. And then the pattern is designed for 5 other colors, but you can use whatever amount you want. I'll go in the order that they are on the sock that you haven't seen yet, but the first color is this. These are left over from my Nostalgia socks by Bloom and Create. The next color is this one, I believe, which is, this is from Polar Bear Yarns, and I used it in the Little Love socks, also by Bloom and Create. Gem State yarns, I think. These ones won't be linked because that'll be a lot of digging. Madison and State Fiber Co. that I just recently used on my plant lady tee, which is actually pretty similar to what I'm wearing. Next is just this white from Croy's pattern that I used in the Mountain Mama socks from Bloom and Create. I love her socks if you can't tell. And then this came with the other polar bear yarn, and I used it in those same socks. So together they make this. So like I said, the pattern is designed with 5 colors, but you could ideally use as many as you wanted. And it's textured, although it looks like color work, but it's not. You only use 1 color at a time, which is amazing. I won't share too much since it is a test and it's not out yet, and it'll likely be a paid-for pattern, but I really love these socks. They don't have the texture on the bottom, so they're nice and easy to walk on. And on here I have the little pumpkin. It's a progress keeper, but I'm really just using it as knitting jewelry because it signifies nothing. It's just there to be cute and seasonal. And then the second sock I've gotten pretty far into. I just finished the gusset, so I have a little bit more to do on the foot, and then the toe, of course. And the deadline for this is, I don't remember if I already said this, the deadline is November 4th, so you can probably expect the socks late November, mid-November, and I highly recommend them. They're very cute. You can use a bunch of scraps with it. The options are endless. So keep a lookout for that pattern. It's a great sock. So now I will show you guys a past project. These are actually, they've been saved for this episode for Halloween, and I knit them approximately a year ago. They are 2 spooky hats. So this pattern is the Ghost and Widows by Amber Darling. You can see I didn't do the widows, just did the ghost. And I actually can't remember if they came with the happy mouth or the scary mouth, but either way it's an easy modification to make. And she has lots of hat patterns with various different charts. If you haven't seen her, you should go check it out and make some cute hats. So fun story about this yarn. If you don't know, Reddit, the website, has a Secret Santa every year, and they also have some themed gift giving along the year, and this one was for the crafts, or maybe it was called needlework, but either way I was sent this yarn, Zakami yarn I think it's called. It's a DK base. She dyes out of like the UK or something, so it's something I would have never been able to get for myself because I think the shipping is like just as much as the yarn itself, which I can't justify, but as a gift I'll gladly take it. I was able to squeeze out 2 hats, one for myself and one for my boyfriend. And I think I forgot to mention the white is just something I picked up at my LYS. I think it was the Fiber Co. Acadia. And I knit the purple moss to the very end, and whatever I had left went in this pom-pom along with some little white bits. So yeah, we love pulling these out for the spooky season. They're so seasonal and cute, and maybe one year I'll go back and make the widow's version of the pattern, maybe in like orange and black. I think that'd be cute. I'm going to skip the maker I love because I'm having storage issues and I have to get back to work soon. So I'll skip that for now and I'll push it to next week, but keep a lookout for that. Acquisitions, last week I had a ton. So my goal was to not get any, right? To kind of like make up for getting so much yarn at once, because I want to keep it to these 2 cubes. I don't really want to go any further than that. But when me and my mother were up north, we were going sightseeing to see the UP in its fall colors, and I'll put in some pictures here. But because the weather was so bad, it was cold and rainy, our sightseeing tour of the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore was canceled. But we decided to still make a day of it, so we went out to lunch, and that was nice. And afterwards I pointed out a bookstore and cafe that I just wanted to stop by, And when I walked in, I see a little basket of yarn, and I'll put it here. And I was not expecting to see it. She's a dyer I've heard of before, Up North Yarns. So somewhat local to me, not close, but in the same state. And I knew I had to get it. I didn't find the yarn found me. But honestly, none of the colors in the basket were really for me. So I decided to grab one for a family member, and I went with this one. It is a bit more masculine with the browns and the greens and maybe a little bit of blue, and the colorway is camo. And I bought this thinking of my father, probably either for his birthday or for Christmas next year. And I don't know if that'll be socks or maybe another Muscleburg, but this will end up being for him, I think. The colors remind me of him a lot, so. And that is the only acquisition I have, so I would say I didn't do too bad. Other than yarn, I've been reading. I finished Where the Crawdads Sing, and I'm halfway through It Ends With Us. I liked Where the Crawdads Sings, but I think I like this one a bit more. I'll let you know for sure in the next podcast. And then I ordered some more books. I think I ordered People We Meet on Vacation and was it Of Mice and Men. I tried to order like a classic book because I don't think I did all the required readings in high school, because I haven't read half of these very classic books that I think I should have. So I figure I'll do that now on my own time. But thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry this episode is late and it's had so many cuts and difficulties. This is probably the most difficult episode I've made, but I hope you can still enjoy it, and I hope the audio is significantly better, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, happy knitting.